So human design is a tool. It's a little woo-woo and a little practical. It gives each person their individual signature of how to make choices that are in alignment with who you are determined to be in this world.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special two-part episode with our guest, Kat Fong, human design specialist, who's going to be going through Georgianna and her kids' charts. This episode is all about human design and parenting. Find Kat's info in the description and enjoy the show.
So this is what you and Kai, when we call it a composite chart,
Right.
You overlay the two charts together, and what you'll start to notice are areas of which you have energy to draw from together.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you, the two of you together, the energy is flowing, just brewing. And there is, every single chakra or center is defined, except for the heart center, the willpower center.
Mm.
And what that really means is that the areas that are defined, the two of you get to enjoy each other in that way, right? So you, when he's with you and you're with him, the two of you have the strength to communicate your needs.
Mm-hmm.
You can communicate well with each other. In each other's space, you communicate well with others as well. So it's almost like you are given that gift when you're together. In the middle, that's that heart center, the identity center. You really know who you are in reference when you're with the other person. You're like, oh, I know what I'm good at. I love who I am when I'm with this person.
Oh, that's sweet.
And so the part that is undefined or uncolored in is just where you guys get to grow together. It's like if there's a project that you're working on, how will the two of you learn together how to get that done?
Oh my gosh, this is my life. How do we make sure that laundry gets done?
Yeah.
How do we make sure that the dishes go into the sink?
Yeah, right. It's often areas of non-interest.
Oh yeah. That's a high area of non-interest for him.
For the two of you together.
Also.
Yes, there's like this, well, we know it needs to get done. But is anyone really going to die if it doesn't get done? Mm-hmm. And so what also happens is perhaps you're with Luca, right? And maybe Luca has that defined. So then when you're with Luca or when you're with other people, you have this charge of, oh no, I can just do this now.
It's so interesting because Luca definitely has a different energy around doing these things. Like, yeah, he's also a preteen and like it's not high on his priority list either. But there's less of tension, push, pull, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, hey, can you take care of that? Done. Kai's like, yeah, in a minute, later, in a minute. And then also because I'm bigger vision and I don't like those little things either. Then we're both in this like, okay, well then I let it slide and then he doesn't do it. And then I let it slide some more because I really don't want to, follow through with that until I'm like, oh my gosh. And then
it has to get done.
It has to get done. I make a demand of him. He doesn't like having demands and like immediately having to do something. And it's really funny. Like that's our cycle with that. Yeah. Whereas everything else in our relationship is smooth and easy. I know how to navigate his emotional highs, lows, outbursts, all the things. And like, he really doesn't have that many anymore. I think because I put in the groundwork when he was young, right? To really help him with that emotional expression. And so like the things that if you were to say at all, any sort of hiccups in our dynamic, it's about household chores, like those kinds of things.
Yes, because the two of you have such broad imagination. It's like the goal of Kai's life. The reason he's here is to create space for other people to have their dreams and possibilities manifested into reality.
Wow.
And he can only do that by doing that for himself.
Ugh.
I know, right? It's the worst.
Okay,
but
fine.
It's going to be the driving motivation for him is, how do I get this fantasy to be real? How do I get this dream to be real? And in his energy of constantly making real the things that he dreams up, he makes it possible for other people. right? He's that example. And that's all that his not all, but that his driving force in his life.
Okay. I have a question.
Yeah.
So is this why, if you didn't really understand Kai, it could appear as if he's very self-centered? That it's just sort of about what he wants when he wants, but he's not that kind of a kid. Like, he does care about people, and like his impact on people does matter to him. But that's just something I noticed. Like, he's so clear on what he wants and to make that thing happen that it almost seems like that's the center of his world.
It's a one-track mind, right? Like, it's, yeah. And so the human design answer to that would be that his chart lives in individual and community. He ping pongs between the two.
Okay.
Right? What individual needs do I have that serves the community? You, my friend, my darling friend, are tribal and community. And so a lot of the choices you make are, how will this affect everyone, including me? How can this better the tribe that I live in, but also the global impact of my tribe?
Right. Yes, I always say, like, I live and I see from a relational place. Like, everything, the framework is relational. Everything.
Totally. Yes.
And then I have people in my life where I'm like, what? Like, how are you not seeing relationally what the impact of this is? And how is that not your driving force? Right. But hearing you say that, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And when he's individual, he's really individual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's only against society's perspective of what that, of how he should be, that can occur as selfish. But
because he's not that kind of kid. Like, he's not actually a selfish person.
That's right. You could look at it as though the moment he's in the individual is like a scientist working over his experiment. Right? What are the things? Drop of this, touch of that, da 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 da. And then he's like, oh wow, I've created something. Let's take that. Let's try that out into the world. But he has to be distraction free when he's in his individual space to generate the clarity and the wisdom that his human design drives for.
Right. I'm just imagining the visual is so helpful. He's in his little science lab doing his thing, trying to figure out the answer to this puzzle. And I'm trying to bring 1,000 questions, the what's and the whys and the hows and the, what about this? I'm just having this visual that he's the scientist.
Yeah.
And here I want to be curious and asking questions, or relational and tribal. Like, aren't you caring about that person's feelings right now? And he's like, no, like, get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. You're breathing on my experiment.
Right. And so when I see it through that visual, it makes sense that in that moment, he's like, I don't care. Unless someone's actively dying, I don't care. Right.
Yeah, this is my priority. I love that is what human design brings, is that it's not that he has to change. It reframes why he's doing what he's doing. Right. So, for example, one of the biggest things that human design gave me as a parent was to know the rhythms and the rules of my own kids. So Allegra, who is now 13, when she was younger, she would have stations. Lego over here, Play-Doh over here, books over here, but she wouldn't pick up the thing that she was working on prior. And the way I saw it was, oh my gosh, my house is so cluttered. There's just stuff everywhere. And I would feel so frustrated by it. And then I learned her human design, which was her energy for different things thrives in different areas. And so under the table where she was doing her journaling was where the energy for journaling lived.
I see. Okay.
And it gave me permission to...
She's space dependent. Like,
she's space dependent. Yeah, she's vibe dependent. And to this day, she's very vibe dependent, right? And so it gave me a different perspective of, oh, they're not piles of clutter. They're where her stations of creativity. Right. And it was like, oh, if I'm committed to my child being fully self-expressed, then these stations of creativity can live there for now.
Right. They serve a purpose for her unfolding.
Yeah, she's not just trying to be messy, right?
Yes. Okay, so as a parent on a practical level, right, you can understand this and see there's a uniqueness in my child. This is where her unfolding happens, right? She's not trying to create a mess and like be defiant and all the things, or just forgetful. One, you could take that option of let her live in a way that totally matches how her flow operates. Right. But you may also be like, we have another kid here. We also have 2 other adults here. We also have this much space. So how do you navigate that on a practical life level, having this information? And I mean, there's still a gazillion ways within that to operate, but I'm just curious how that knowing about how she's wired helps inform what choices you make and which things you think are worth setting a boundary over and setting up like a way of being in this house, and which things are like, no, that doesn't work for us.
Yes. And so do you remember earlier you had said you had clocked the patterns when Kai was little? And so I did the same thing with Allegra in that you can see or feel when the energy fizzles.
Yes.
And it's not being revisited as consistently as it was prior. And you can feel like they're just not interested in that toy or whatever it is anymore. And that was the sign to say, okay, well, let's just pick this up and put it away. When we lived in a smaller place, we often had traveling stations.
Okay.
So if it was Lego, she would pick it up, she would float around the house, finding her vibe, and then she'd pop a squat and play.
Right.
And then we would put it back on the shelf when she was done. And so that for us allowed her and us to live in a communal space without me constantly stepping on Lego. But my goal deep, deep down, and I know we've said this before, which is I want to raise my children for the adults that they can become, not for the children they are. And so regulation of her nervous system and creative spaces was, and still is, a very important part of my motherhood journey.
Right.
And so a clean space was less of a priority, or a tidy space was less of a priority than my children regulating through play.
And by that, you mean for her to feel most regulated, it's to play in a space that feels right at that moment.
That's right.
As long as it's not unsafe or that kind of thing.
Totally.
And so that's interesting, because a child wired differently might really thrive with one area that's the play area all the time. But what you're saying is she's wired in a way that like her creativity gets to flow, her nervous system gets to regulate dependent on which space in the house she's in on that particular day in that moment.
Correct. And the reason I learned that is because there's 4 arrows at the top of her body graph. And those taught me or informed me of, does she learn better if it's in a same place, same time, same stuff all the time? Or does she learn better in rhythm to her liking? And for her and myself, it's energy draws where we're going to be in the flow.
Right. Okay. So this is a real struggle that I think people have, and a label that people who thrive better in their own rhythms sort of get this label of something's wrong with you.
Yes.
Right? Why don't you have a structure and a discipline and a blah, 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 right? Like everybody else can have. And why should we all accommodate you and your rhythms? And this is, I think, so empowering to know, if you are wired that way, of I thrive best when I have some room for my rhythms. And yes, I will also grow muscles to be able to do things and function well when sometimes there isn't room for my rhythms and I need to be a little bit more structured. Right. And for us, for people who, well, I'm a rhythm and vibe person, but like for people who are more same place, same time, all the same, like I call it rigid, but to them that would probably be freedom and spaciousness. To see that this is not a bad or wrong way of being, this other way is just different.
Yeah, I liken it to, do you drive on the right side of the road or the left side of the road? Right? Neither one is wrong. Both get you to where you need to go. And in the human design chart, it is your masculine and feminine. So the masculine aspect or energy of your human design is a little more structured. Right. So for my youngest, Eleanor, I know that for her, and what we've been practicing is same place, same time, all the tools that you might need in that area, because that to her allows her to be in her creative flow faster. Because she doesn't have to worry about, I got to get up and go and get this over here and this over here.
Right. So you can tell that she's not only impacted differently by a different setup in the house, she thrives under different conditions.
Yes. And so we created each of their homework centers, or where they do their hardest work. in an environment that suits them, because you also get to learn your environment. And Eleanor is caves, and she by herself rearranged her room to put her desk in her closet so that she could feel a little more intimate space.
So cool. Can you tell me what Kai's is? Because I'm curious, like, especially when you pair it with like homework and all this stuff. And like, he's, you know, in grade 10 now. Like, I wonder what his environment is where he thrives.
Yeah. So his environment is markets.
Say more. I know a little bit. And so that's why I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. But say more, please.
Okay. So markets is, I want you to imagine that there's a variety of people doing the thing that they do best in a community space, cheering each other on, knowing that they're doing the best they can and rooting for one another. And in that collective space with individuality, everyone gets to thrive.
Right.
And each person is offering and contributing the world the unique thing that they deliver. Right. So there's not this aggressive competition. There's everybody's important and integral to the growth and the workability of this space.
Very interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And so for him, co-working spaces are great. Right? Like offices that are open to a variety of different people to come in. But you have people coming in that you might see on a regular basis. And so you can create connections that way. But you're not necessarily working on the same thing together.
So interesting, because he has always been the kid he wants people around. He's 15 now, and he's not generally the kid that hides in his room. He wants to be in the living room. He wants to be where everyone comes and goes, and he will do his thing. He'll watch his football there. He'll, you know, he'll do his homework there, like just on the couch, right? And if we were like, no, homework should be done at a desk, at a table, in a corner where you're not distracted by anything, right? He wants to have like, and I was like, I wanted to have some music. I remember when I used to do homework, like I hated dead silence. He has some music on when he's doing homework. And my parents would always say to me, like, that's distracting you. How can you focus on your homework when you, whatever.
Totally.
And I wonder if it's because Kai and I both have our heads defined. Like we can be very in all sorts of thoughts. So the music sort of helps like drown that thought out and be able to help us focus on the task.
Yes. 100%. And I learned that might have been my biggest lesson, is that how I was raised to do homework is not how my children need to do their homework. Because I was also raised with, oh, you can't do it in front of the TV because you're not going to get anything done. And you have to do it in dead silence alone, in a room, alone, with the door closed, alone. And I was like, gosh, I didn't thrive in that environment. And with Allegra, it's headphones on. It has to be familiar music. That she can bop to.
I'm the same. I need that.
And all the while I'm watching her, she's singing out loud and she's coloring her thing, singing out loud, doing a math worksheet kind of thing. And I am sitting there going, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. This is her. You've tried and tested it all. You got to trust that this is her thing. Right. And I had to sit in a chair until my homework was done. But Allegra's someone who she'll get up, she'll get a snack, she'll sit back down. She'll get up, do a dance, she'll sit back down. Like there's a lot of breaks in between.
Yes. I mean, even when Kai was little, hated sitting at the table for dinner. He'd want to move around, look around, walk around, stand up.
One leg one leg standing, right? Yeah. And so, and for you, your environment is kitchens, which does describe you very well, because kitchens is similar to markets in that it's a hub of people that come together. The difference with kitchens is that we are there together working on something creative to create something new that's nourishing, that is delicious, and that is to be shared amongst the people who are contributing.
Okay, so you know this about me, but like a phrase that like really lights me up is joyful collaboration. Like I love the coming together with people. They have their passion. I have my passion. Together, we dream up some other magic. I am at my best in life when I make sure that that is prioritized. Time for that is prioritized. And there, you know, our family, we went through some hard stuff 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I had to sort of retreat from life. And one of the impacts of retreating from life was that collaboration went out the door. I didn't have the energy or desire or drive or time or energy for any of that. And I honored that. That was fine. But as I came back out and emerged into life and the world again, that was probably the last thing I had like energy for, like the energy source that was returning to me, like at the very end could be like, oh, and now we can give some focus to that and some energy to that. And it's been happening in the last, say, 2 months or so. And that's where I light up again and I feel alive again and I feel excited again. And I remember I love people again. So to hear you, I've known this about myself kitchens, but never quite put in this way that makes like that moment of like, oh, yes, this is me. Joyful collaboration is me. Come together. Yes. And what's been interesting is I, for many years, up until about 4 years ago, worked in an open office plan, right? Where we could just chat and collaborate on ideas and get excited with each other. And then I went to private practice and I have the joy of getting to work from my own home. So I love that. But I'm like, where are all my people? Where are the dreams going to spark and come alive? Where's the collaboration happening? And so I have to intentionally, deliberately create that in my life because my current work situation doesn't provide for it anymore.
Yes. Yes. And I love what you're saying in that even the simplest action of the kitchen, your body and human design doesn't thrive from utilitarian cooking.
No. Oh my gosh. This is me.
It's not, you would rather die than cook to eat. Like you're like, I'm going out kind of thing. If you had to just cook to eat, that it's just sort of hollow for you. Right? There's such a layered satisfaction and yours is feeling of success. There's such a feeling of success when people come together. And I remember when we had our cooking club and everybody would be in charge of something different. And we'd put it together and the energy of creating together and nourishing as one.
Yes.
Was successful to you.
Yes. This is totally, and this is for some years how I've been can fall into being hard on myself because I'm sure as you do, when we do the episode where you look more specifically at my human design, right? It'll probably come to surface, but routines and structures and systems have been hard for me to implement. Like I have to work very intentionally to make it happen and to get into them and stick with them and then fall out of them and come back into them. And I'd be like, all these people can meal plan and cook their food and feed themselves and their family. Like, what is wrong? Like, why could I just not do this? But what I realized is when I get to choose a recipe that I'm excited to create and feed to my people, all of a sudden I can cook.
Yeah. The magic is there.
Yes.
Right? The magic of the spell work that is cooking.
Yes. It is not about make a sandwich and eat it.
It's definitely not. And these are one of my favorite memories of you going to the kitchen at our nonprofit agency, getting a jar of sauerkraut, being like, I have to get my fermented vegetables in, and the energy of which you're just eating your sauerkraut. And I was like, oh, there's just something missing.
Yes.
That.
Yes.
It's
You're right.
It's the difference between feeding and nourishing.
Yes. And I've noticed that I've been playing with that of like nourishing myself, nourishing my people.
Yes.
All of a sudden I'm alive for it. I'm excited for it. I'm like, okay, I will make time to make sure I can plan so that I can nourish myself and my people.
Yes.
But try to get me to make time to plan, to feed the people, to cook the food.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, there's so many things. And it never made sense to me because I'm like, but I love eating and I love cooking. Why is this so hard for me? It's because, like you said, when it's just utilitarian, it's just do this to get that done.
Yes.
It was a total no.
Yes.
But when it's like this experience,
yes,
right? I'm like, that's really nice. I like that.
And you can go one step further into thinking of it was a dream to start with. You and Kai share that in your charts of it always starts with a dream or a fantasy or I wonder. And that I wonder morphs and manifests into how do we make that dream come true?
That's very true. I see that in him and in me.
Yeah. And so when when he's looking at decisions in his life that are aligned for him, it's really about, well, is that a real desire? right? Did that start as a dream? That something that you said, oh, it'd be really cool if.
Yes. Well, this is really interesting because he is a kid very connected to his desire. Again, society can condition us, especially as parents, to label that as a selfish kid, right? He'll speak out. He's like, it'd be really nice to rent a cabin with my friends this winter at the ski hill. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that would be fun. And I just leave it at that, Yeah,
he's planting his own seeds. Right? And then he's doing the work in his head, probably doing a little work on the computer of, well, how viable is that?
Yep. Yeah. Because, I might ask, well, who's the adult who would rent it for you?
Right.
He's like, yeah, we haven't really figured out that part. I'm like, okay.
And that's where you come in. So one of the things that I wanted to add in before we finish is how you can help him navigate choices in his life without influencing the choices he makes. And it's the simplest and most wonderful practice. And it is to ask him questions in a yes or no, or this or that fashion.
Right.
So when you asked him, well, who's the grown-up? He's like, oh, we don't have one. Noted. Right? But if you ask him, Kai, what do you want for dinner? He may feel like, well, that's just too broad. I don't know. I want food.
Yep, pretty much. That's always the answer that I get. I don't know. Just something.
I don't know. I just want food. But if you were like, oh, I'm not sure. Do I want Indian? Do I want sushi? And you go to him and you say, I'm thinking about Indian or sushi. Right? He may find it easier to feel into that.
Right. And he's definitely like that. And this is correct me if I'm wrong. This is a generator thing, right? Yes. Okay. And you said 70% of the population are generators. And this is the thing that goes contrary to what a lot of us learned, especially in the counseling field, of learning to ask open questions, to avoid yes, no questions. But you're telling me, and I see it in my children, because Luke is a manifesting generator, that when I ask these open-ended questions, all I get is, I don't know, nothing. Fine. But you're right. If I ask specifics, this or that, right, then it's clear.
Yeah. And I love that it can be scaffold questions. So for example, if I ask Eleanor, do you want this or that? She'll be like, oh, I don't know. I said, do you want hot or cold?
Yes, that's what we do. Hot or cold?
Hot or cold. And she'll be like, ooh, hot. Okay. And then it builds from there. But it also gives her a chance to feel into her emotional feeling about it, because she also is an emotional decision maker.
Right.
Whereas for you, living in your sacral, you're very, listen to my gut. What is my gut going to tell me? And my gut's going to know pretty quick.
Yes.
Right?
I actually get overwhelmed when you're like, well, what about this? And what about that? What about this? I'm like, I don't know. And like, I'll tell Adam, I'm like, can you just decide? Just choose. Just choose something.
Yeah. Right. And so that's where we're living in how can we scaffold the question so that we can practice the right strategy and authority in our charts? And so I infuse that into the kids, my parenting, even in my relationship with Rob, right? He's like, do you want to watch what movie do you want to watch? And then I kind of paralyze a little bit, being like, I don't know if I want to watch a movie. And I have to ask myself, would you like to watch a movie, Kat? I can even answer his question. But it has softened the conflict in our relationship. Because I've taken responsibility for how do I need to be asked this same question.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying is, what line of questioning works better for you to get to a clear yes or no.
Correct.
But what you're saying is you're not putting that on your husband to have to ask you the right way. I mean, yes, maybe it'd be so nice, but you understand that you might need to do a little check-in with yourself by asking yourself those questions.
Yes. Yeah. It often comes up when I feel an emotional burst of frustration or rage about something that possibly he has said or done. And I have to step back and be like, oh, wow. Rather than saying, what's there for me right now? Which is a trickier question for me. Or what's being triggered? That's a trickier question for me. It's, am I feeling mad or sad? Like, it's very primal. That's my human design. It's very primal. Am I responding from an inner child wound or a fear of a loss of connection with him? right? And so those really clear this or that questions allow me to navigate my side of the conflict.
Right. And not require him to do everything. And that's what we're talking about in HD. It's not that now I know how I'm wired and now I demand and expect everyone else to only work with me according to my design.
Right.
This is, oh, it makes sense. I feel frustrated right now because if it were according to my design, this is what would feel better for me.
Yes. And can I provide that to myself to mitigate my suffering?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And can I provide that to the people in my life?
Right.
So that they mitigate their suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think like when you know your design, like when I know I'm a projector and I know that I thrive when people invite me to do things, right? And so some of the people in my life who are familiar with HD already know this. So they know to invite me. But people who don't know about this, I know myself in this way of I thrive best. And I just had a conversation with someone who I want to collaborate with. We want to collaborate with each other. And we were able to say, not in human design terms, because we know this about ourselves, you know, whichever way we came to it. I said, I thrive best when you ask me to do something, right? Because I will deliver and it will be great. But if it's sort of just like a vague sort of seed planting, like I might never deliver you a thing. Yes. But if you're very concrete with me, like, hey, do you want to, you know, are you going to do this? Can you do this by this date? And my insides say, yeah, I'm excited to do that. Like, it will get done.
Yes.
And like, how cool is it to be able to help someone know the best way to work with you, whether that's a work relationship or a friendship or your intimate partner, right? And not demand it of them and not make them wrong when they don't, but that's just an extra bit of information that helps them know how best to work with you.
Yes, I love that. In human design, I get to look at what is the gift that Georgie is giving right now. How can I take that as a generator and how can we make magic together? Versus focusing on, well, she does it one way, I do it another. Who's going to win? Right? Or whose way is better? It's really not. It's how is this workable? How can we make this workable? Right. And with you and Kai, it really is going to live in the areas of which you are growing together in that willpower center.
Right? Yes, I take that as an invitation. Would you like to invite me, Kai?
Yes. So the invitation for you is also recognition. Those two go hand in hand. And I know that who you are in this world is someone who can see deeply into the gifts of others and how they deliver those gifts so that they can be the highest expression of themselves while healing the parts of themselves that is necessary to heal. And you do it effortlessly, but intentionally. There's a distinction between those two.
Right.
And so when it comes to your relationship with Kai, it's acknowledging the gifts that he brings to the relationship and the difference that he makes to you when inviting him to support you in X, Y, or Z.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. He needs to know, well, why does it matter?
Yeah.
And why does it matter that I do this?
Right. Yes.
Because eventually, Mom, you may pick up those dishes or my clothes or whatnot. But what is the integral part of it for you that it means so much that I do this?
Right. Yes. I remember just over the years parenting him when I would start to add in the impact on me of his choices, all of a sudden, like, it's like he was paying attention. Right. When I could just add, hey, when you talk to me like that, that really hurts my feelings, makes me sad. And I didn't harp on it and it wasn't about shaming him, but it was just adding that extra detail. I could tell like something sunk in there way more than if I would have reamed him out, you know, for 5 minutes for being disrespectful. And I can see what you're saying now in the also engaging him to work together, that sharing the impact is probably a difference maker.
Yes. And also in his sign Mercury, which is the planet for communication, fulfillment is extremely important to him. How is it that his action helps to fulfill something?
Okay.
Right. Okay. So you can incorporate your visionary broad spectrum vision, like looking to
Right.
say, you know, on the bigger picture, you doing this allows for these things to happen.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
I'm really
Yes.
wanting to make us a really good meal. I'm really excited about it. I need you to, by this time, do this.
Right.
Can you do that?
Yes. And I think without realizing the impact of phrasing it that way, I've
Yes.
sort of found it here and there
Yeah.
by accident
Yeah.
of like, oh, if I tell him, you know, if you want to be able to have this experience, then I need this and this help. Okay.
And then that's the invitation that he needs because it's fulfilling on something that is individual for him and or a community-based thing, right? In order for us to get to hockey or to be with your team, these things
Right.
are going to matter.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And so allowing him to choose based on, well, what are these small, ridiculous things going to matter and do for us getting to what we need to do? You know, so fulfillment is important in his communication style.
Okay. This is super helpful. I love this. I knew that this is part of your magic. Your magic is to like pull out the magic of each person, but also to, I don't know necessarily we're ending with it today, but like you're good at making it concrete into something in my day-to-day life that I can practice, that I can already tell when I practice this, it's going to make a difference in our life and our relationship. So that is super helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
To finish, I wanted to ask you if there were any questions that maybe, or any thoughts that you might have about what you've heard today.
I mean, I think mostly I have questions, but I think I'm going to save those for when we do Lucas, because my questions are curiosities around how human design has impacted you as a mother and as a woman and as a, you know, matriarch of your family. So I'd love for us to get to that next time. More than a question that I have is just, I want to share my excitement to like try this out, like to be like, now I have this information because I'm a 1-3. Now, you know, I researched and you gave me information and now I got to trial and data and like see what I find. And so I think that's what I'm excited to do, is just to let this marinate and be like, oh, well, how can I shift a little bit of just how I phrase something next time and see what happens. And I'm super excited to do that.
That's great.
My question is more, I think, for the people listening. If they're intrigued by human design, if they want to get into your space and energy and have you help them connect more to themselves or their children or their partner.
The easiest way would be to visit my website, www.katfong.com. And it gives you a place to learn more about human design, a place to learn about the other services that I provide. And I know I'm going on a tangent, but I think what I would like for the listeners to take away from our call today is noticing, just noticing where in your life with your kids have you heard, or can you see something that you heard today? Right? Perhaps can you reframe something? Are they fidgeters? Do they not like the dinner table? Are they people who put piles of things together? You know, and I know that you and I are going to have a Q&A. And so to save those questions or to send them in so that we can create a wonderful podcast to answer all of those questions.
Yes. So Kat has agreed to do a Q&A episode. So basically that's any question you have on human design, how it impacts your life, your family, your relationships, send them to us. I think we'll post in a link of how to do that. You can also find me on georgiannalee.com and there's a contact page there. So send your questions in. And we'll choose some or maybe all, depending on how much time we have to answer them. And if this was an exciting sort of glimpse into this human design world, we have more for you, right? So what does the more look like? I know you said that you would love to also do a reading for my younger son and me and how we pair together. So that's coming. And I expect from that conversation, we're going to talk a little bit about the two children and how they're unique and how to navigate that as a parent to let them be their own person and become their own person. And I think we're going to do a reading with Stephanie and I. So my business partner and I, Stephanie and I co-host the podcast Wholehearted Loving. And so you'll get to hear what it's like to look at human design charts of two people when you're collaborating on something. right? And also we're friends, Stephanie and I. I'm imagining you're going to tell us a little bit about our friendship and how we thrive in our friendship and how our friendship impacts us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the relationship one. So me and my partner, and maybe you'll be willing to share a little bit of what you've learned with you and your husband, with Rob,
Yep.
right? And human design, and how it's helped you not freak out at him as much, maybe. I'm thinking.
It definitely softens the conflicts.
Right? We want softening of conflicts. Yes.
So it doesn't have to be just one-to-one relationships. It can be, how were my mother and father paired together?
Wow.
Or my partner, my grown-ups in my life, how did they pair together that could possibly explain a little bit of what they were dealing with?
Mm.
I love also doing larger groups, so 6 people. And, if it's a team where you're working together in a 6 or less organization, to discover, well, what are the energy types that are coming together and how can you merge those well so that your project works seamlessly?
I like that. I like that. Didn't you also do like a birthday party or something like that?
Yes, I did. I had 4 best friends do a charcuterie night, and for the birthday present, they did a human design reading for their friend and had MIDI readings for themselves, and got to see how they had a 25-year friendship, all 4 of them. So they were just celebrating that.
That's super exciting. All the possibilities. See, we come back full circle to all the possibilities.
Yes. Last one is when you're 70 to 75 and over.
Mm.
I've been doing charts for individuals who are on the older adult category. And what I've noticed, a difference it makes for those individuals is that there's still so much life left to live.
Yeah.
There's a newness, right? Of maybe they're retired and they're looking for inspiration or who they are. Perhaps they're just noticing things for themselves. So that's a really neat demographic to work with.
That's awesome. I love it. So really you're saying like everyone can benefit seeing themselves a little bit more clearly and
Yes.
celebrating their magic a little bit more.
Yes.
And being seen in their magic by another person. Like, I think it's one thing to celebrate your own magic, and a lot of us are still learning how to do that, but to create more opportunities in our life to be celebrated for our magic, to be seen in our magic by other people. Yes. I think is very healing and helps us thrive. And like, you're saying about your older clients, it honors the next phase of life that we're heading into, right? Imagine heading into the next phase or season or chapter of your life, feeling that much more confident about who you are, what matters to you, and the magic that you bring into the world and the people who you care about. Yeah. So Kat can help you do that.
I can help. I do that.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to say about what's to come?
There's so much to come. So stay tuned. Georgianna and I have been planting seeds and letting them grow into little seedlings. So we have a variety of topics, from grief to being raised in immigrant families to creating who we are as females, as professionals, as Asian Canadians, and identifying with who we are and reclaiming that. And so stay tuned. I hope you listen.
Yes. See you soon. See you again next time. Hey. Thanks for being here, Kat.
Thank you so much for having me.